Before we tear into this absolute tax heist, where Albo raids your super, Dutton says nothing, and the ATO's got you in a financial chokehold, smash that like button like you're swatting away another ATO letter. Subscribe if you're done letting Canberra pick your pockets. And grab the "Is this the better Australia you promised" tea. Links in the description before the next tax bracket kicks in. Mate, if you thought daylight robbery was illegal, wait till you hear how the government's slicing into your super without even the courtesy of a reach around. This isn't reform. It's a smash and grab job on your retirement, sugar-coated with bureaucratic waffle and signed off with a smug smile from the same mob that couldn't run a sausage sizzle at Bunnings without sparking a national inquiry. Here's the truth. They're taxing unrealized gains. You heard that right? Not money you've actually earned, not profits in your hand. Nah. Money you haven't even seen yet. Gains that might never exist, but the ATO's ready to charge you for them anyway. It's like being fined for speeding on a road you haven't driven on yet. And the kicker? The pollies flogging this nonsense have quietly carved out exemptions for themselves. Albanese's super fund? Exempt. Of course it is. The rules only apply to us plebs, not to the blokes writing them. Now they'll tell you it's only going to hit the rich. The top 0.5%, they say. Don't worry, love. It's not for you. But here's the rub. Inflation's got teeth. That threshold? It's not indexed. That means more Aussies get dragged into the trap every single year. Today's rich is tomorrow's middle class. And by the time you realize it's your nest egg they've scrambled, they'll already be on to the next raid. They reckon it's about fairness. But since when did fairness mean punishing people for saving responsibly? Since when did building a secure future become something to be taxed like you've done something wrong? It's not fair. It's envy dressed in policy, jealousy parading as justice. And the media? Don't expect them to call it out. They're too busy running cover, too busy whispering sweet nothings about budget repair while ignoring the rot right under their noses. And where's Jim Chalmers? Hiding like a possum up a gum tree, leaving his colleagues to mop up the mess he made. Amanda Rishworth's out there spinning circles, trying to explain how this tax grab isn't really a tax grab. It's necessary reform, apparently. Necessary for what? To cover their own political screw-ups? To fund more green pipe dreams and pork barrel projects? Let's not mince words here. This is a betrayal. A backstab to every Aussie who worked overtime, skipped holidays, lived frugally, and trusted that their super would be left alone. Trust, by the way, is something this government is burning faster than a lithium battery in a bushfire. And don't think the libs are innocent either. Where's the spine? Where's the fight? Dutton's got the megaphone, but refuses to use it. You'd think after the drubbing they copped at the polls, they'd have the guts to stand up for something. Instead, they're busy reviewing. Always reviewing. Never doing. Meanwhile, the everyday Aussie's stuck between two mobs. One that's robbing you and one that's too scared to call it out. What we're seeing is the slow, quiet dismantling of the Australian promise. Work hard, save smart, get ahead. That used to mean something. Now it means you're a target. A walking, breathing ATM for a bloated government that's addicted to spending and allergic to accountability. And it doesn't stop with super. That's just the beginning. If they can get away with taxing gains you haven't even realised, what's next? A rental tax on your spare bedroom? A thought tax on ideas you might one day turn into income? Laugh all you want, but that's how this rot spreads. Inch by inch, policy by policy, lie by lie. Now the spin merchants are out in force. They say it's just 15%. What they don't tell you is that this stacks on top of existing taxes. You're already taxed on contributions, then on fund earnings, and again when you finally withdraw, and now they want a slice of money you might not even make. That's triple taxation on phantom profits. If a private company tried that, ASIC would shut them down. But when it's the government, suddenly it's progressive policy. And here's the thing. You won't see this tax on your payslip. You won't feel it all at once. It'll hit slow, quiet, like termites eating away at your future. Your fund balance won't drop overnight, but the growth, that'll stall. The compound interest you relied on, sliced down. The retirement you planned, delayed, watered down, ripped apart and served cold with a side of empty promises. Ask yourself, who benefits from this? Not you, not your kids, not the mum working 2 jobs to keep her mortgage afloat. The only winners here are the bureaucrats pushing paper and the pollies banking fat pensions they'll never touch with a tax bill. It's a rigged game, and the house always wins. And yet, they smile. They say it's all in your best interest. Just like they said lockdowns were for your safety. Just like they said interest rates wouldn't rise. Just like they said power bills would go down if we just trusted them one more time. How many times do they get to be wrong before we stop listening? The kicker is, they had options. They could have gone after corporate tax loopholes. They could have cleaned up the rorts and the frauds bleeding billions from the system. But nah, that's too hard. It's easier to come after your super. You're the soft target. You're the compliant one. You won't protest. You won't riot. You'll just grumble over your morning coffee and move on. And they're counting on that. But not this time. Not here. Not now. See, Aussies are waking up. We're done being treated like mugs. We're done with being told to tighten our belts while MPs give themselves pay rises and taxpayer-funded perks. We're done with the same recycled excuses from the same tired faces. We're ready to push back. And it starts by calling this tax grab what it really is. Theft. And it gets worse. You want to talk about hypocrisy? Let's look at the exemptions. Guess who doesn't get hit by this? Defined benefit schemes. Know who's got those? Politicians. Public servants. The same mob making the rules. They're carving themselves out of the very system they're forcing on the rest of us. That's not just double standards. That's a piss take of democracy. Meanwhile, tradies, nurses, small business owners, the backbone of this country, are getting fleeced, while the suits in Canberra sip taxpayer-funded lattes and talk about equity, like it's some magic spell that justifies anything. This isn't about budget repair. It's about control. It's about conditioning you to accept more and more interference in how you save, invest, and retire. And if you think this ends with super, you're dreaming. It's part of a bigger trend. A shift towards centralized control, top-down economics, where every dollar you earn and save is monitored, measured, and eventually taxed into submission. The government doesn't want you independent. They want you dependent on them. That way they stay in power. That way you stop asking questions. And here's something no one's talking about. What happens when the market crashes? When super balances take a hit? You think the government's going to refund the tax they took on unrealized gains? Not a chance. They'll keep your money and blame the market. Heads they win, tails you lose. It's the ultimate rigged bet. They've turned your retirement into a roulette wheel, except the house doesn't even pretend it's fair. And we've got the media parroting government lines like obedient lapdogs. No hard questions, no accountability, just the same recycled talking points dressed up in fancy graphics and smug commentary. They're not watching out for you. They're managing your expectations, conditioning you to accept less, settle for worse, and say thanks for the privilege. Well, bugger that. And don't fall for the distraction tactics, the nuclear debate, the defense budget smokescreen. All of it is a magic trick. Look over here. While they pick your pocket behind the curtain, we're told it's the most dangerous time since World War II, but instead of strengthening our economy, they're gutting your savings. Instead of building resilience, they're kneecapping the very people who actually make this country run. It's not about safety, it's not about sustainability, it's about power, and they're taking it piece by piece while calling it progress. But it's not all doom and gloom. Not if we speak up, not if we demand change. Because here's the thing, governments don't lead. They follow outrage, they follow votes, and they follow fear, your silence, your fatigue, That's their real fuel. But when we stop complying, when we start shouting, that's when they wobble. That's when they cave. And that's why you're here, watching this, listening, getting informed, getting fired up. Because deep down, you know this isn't right. Keep watching. We're not done yet. Not even close. You got it. Now we're getting into the thick of it. No breaks, no fluff, just raw, unfiltered truth that'll make your jaw drop harder than interest rates at election time. Let's rip straight in from where we left off. Remember, you're not just watching this. You're waking the hell up. So here's the brutal truth they don't want you thinking about. Super ain't the only battlefield. It's just the soft opener. The real war? It's over autonomy. Your freedom to choose where your money goes, how you invest it, how you raise your kids, what you say online, what you bloody think. Sounds dramatic? Mate, you haven't been paying attention. Let's talk digital ID. The government's selling it as convenience. They reckon it'll stop fraud, make Centrelink easier, help you access Medicare faster. Sounds sweet, right? Like a meat pie and a cold VB until you realize what it actually means. Centralized tracking, every service linked, your health, your tax, your voting enrollment, your super, your online browsing, all under one digital roof. One system to rule them all. And who holds the keys? The same clowns who can't deliver my gov without crashing it every tax season. Think I'm joking? China's already done it. Social credit score, facial recognition, AI surveillance. Over there, you say the wrong thing and suddenly your credit card doesn't work. You can't book a train. Your kids can't get into uni. But this is Australia. You say, that'd never happen here. Mate, look at what already has. Remember the lockdowns? They fenced off public housing like it was a zoo. Sent riot squads into suburbs for BBQs. Meanwhile, tennis players and celebs flew around the country like bloody royalty. 2 rules. One for them, one for the rest of us. And if you questioned it, cops at your door for a Facebook post. Your auntie fined for sitting on a park bench. You think they've forgotten how much power they can get away with? They're just finding new ways to package it now. And now they've set their eyes on your speech. Misinformation bills. Sounds noble. Who wants fake news, right? But read the fine print. It's not about stopping lies. It's about controlling truth. They want power to decide what you're allowed to say online, what you're allowed to post, what you're allowed to hear. You question the government? Flagged. You criticize policy? Strike? You organize protest? Deplatformed. They'll call it public safety. But really, it's public obedience. They want you pacified, predictable, programmable. Just another cog in the machine, nodding politely while they rewrite the rules. And here's the kicker. They'll fund this digital clampdown with your own damn taxes. Every surveillance camera, every bloated agency, every independent board stacked with ex-politicians and yes men, all paid for by you. The same Aussie they don't trust with their own retirement fund anymore. And they've got plans for your kids too. School used to be where you learned to read, write, chuck a footy, and maybe figure out who the hell Ned Kelly was. Now it's a political training camp. Instead of math, they're being taught how to report unsafe opinions. Instead of history, they're copying climate panic manifestos. You disagree with the curriculum? Too bad. Parents are being told to shut up and stay in their lane. Your kids don't belong to you anymore. They belong to the system. And speaking of systems, have you had a look at the banks lately? The Big Four are laughing. They're playing Monopoly while pretending to be your mates. And when the Reserve Bank jacks up interest rates to fight inflation, guess who cops it? Not the corporates, not the politicians, not the big end of town. It's you. Mum and dad, borrowers. Young blokes trying to buy their first home. Families one rate rise away from losing the roof over their heads. And meanwhile, the same government that cries poor keeps dishing out billions to overseas aid, climate pet projects, and UN conferences that achieve nothing but photo ops and fancy dinners. They fly private jets to tell you to take shorter showers. They lecture you about emissions while they build more bureaucracies than Bloody Bunnings has sausage stands. And who's calling them out? Not the mainstream journos. They're too busy doing puff pieces about electric buses and ministerial diversity quotas. There's no room left for accountability when everyone's too scared to ask a hard question. Or worse, too cozy to care. The corruption? It's hiding in plain sight. Special deals, cushy board appointments, taxpayer-funded junkets. Jobs for the boys is alive and well. Only now it's dressed in gender-neutral HR buzzwords. The system's rotten from the top down. And the only ones who get punished are the ones who dare speak up. Let's not forget what happened to whistleblowers. You expose war crimes, you get prosecuted. You reveal government overreach, you get raided. You leak documents that prove they lied. They slap you with secrecy orders and leave you bankrupt. That's not democracy. That's a cartel in a suit. And yet, and bloody yet, every election, they rock up on your telly with that crocodile smile, holding a baby they don't care about and promising the same reheated lies they've served for decades. We'll fix housing. We'll lower power bills. We care about cost of living. Mate, they don't even know what a litre of milk costs. You're not a voter to them. You're a unit, a number, a means to keep the machine rolling. But let me tell you something. Machines break. All it takes is enough of us saying no more. Enough Aussies waking up to the rort. Speaking up. Standing together. Not left or right. Just bloody fed up. This isn't about parties. It's about principle. It's about reclaiming the country we were promised. A country where you work hard, keep what you earn, and get left the hell alone. But don't expect them to hand it back willingly. Nah, they'll smear you. Call you a conspiracy nut, a right-wing kook, a danger to democracy. That's how scared they are of truth. They need you divided. Black versus white. Rich versus poor. City versus bush. Vaxxed versus unvaxxed. They keep us fighting each other so we don't fight them. But what if we stopped falling for it? What if we called BS when we saw it? What if we asked questions they're scared to answer? Questions like, why is a country with more land than almost anyone in the world facing a housing crisis? Why does a nation with endless resources have people choosing between heating and groceries? Why is the bloke who followed every rule getting punished harder than the one who gamed the system? Why are we sending billions overseas while our own veterans sleep in cars? Why is free speech under attack while lies from Parliament are protected by privilege? And most importantly, why the hell are we still letting them get away with it? You've been told your whole life to trust the system, respect the institutions, vote, and go back to sleep. But mate, respect is earned. Trust is earned, and right now, they've blown both. The new Australia they're building, it's cashless, voiceless, monitored and muzzled. Your role is to obey, consume, pay taxes, and stay quiet. If that doesn't terrify you, you're not paying attention. But here's the twist. We've still got time. Not much, but enough. Enough to turn off the mainstream noise and think for ourselves. Enough to push back on policies that reek of theft, lies, and manipulation. Enough to teach our kids to question everything, especially authority. Enough to tell the political elite, you do not own us. You do not own our super. You do not own our speech. You do not own our kids, our homes, or our future. You work for us. And if you forget that again, we'll remind you hard. So if you've made it this far, you're not just a viewer. You're awake. You're aware. You're dangerous. And that's exactly what they fear. This isn't just a video, it's a call to arms. Not with weapons, but with words. With action. With knowledge. With courage. Talk to your mates. Call out the lies. Challenge the spin. Vote smart, not for who your parents voted for or who the media tells you to, but for who earns it. And above all, never, ever forget, you were born free. You were meant to stay free. Don't let anyone, politician, journalist, activist, or bureaucrat, take that from you without a bloody fight. Now go share this video like your future depends on it. Because it does. Stay loud, stay sharp, and stay bloody unapologetically Australian. Catch you in the next one. And don't forget to slap that like button like it just taxed your unrealized gains. Oi, if you're fired up and ready to flip tables, grab the "Is this the better Australia you promised" tee. Chuck it on at your next tax appointment while deleting your MyGov app in disgust, or just rock it while dodging another surveillance camera at your local servo. Stay loud, stay sharp, and never let them take what's rightfully yours. Your future, your freedom, your bloody Australia. See you on the outside, legend.